What's the first thing you say to yourself every morning? Be honest, was it empowering or automatic? Because those first few thoughts, they're shaping everything. Imagine waking up and instead of grabbing your phone, you grab your power. That's what this video is about. 5 things to tell yourself every morning that shift your mindset before the world even wakes up. If you've ever woken up already feeling behind, anxious, or just numb, you're not alone. But what if I told you one morning ritual could change how you show up in every area of your life? Most people live on autopilot. Wake up, check their phone, scroll, stress, repeat. But there's a quiet moment before all the noise begins. A space where you get to decide what kind of person you'll be today. And in that space, what you tell yourself matters more than you think. This video isn't just about motivation, about transformation. It's about building a morning mindset that anchors you, centers you, and turns ordinary days into powerful ones. So let's begin with thought number 1. Asterisk. The Stoic philosophers once said, when you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. And right there, in those quiet words, lies the foundation of it all. Gratitude isn't just some fluffy feel-good concept. It's a weapon, a shield against the creeping feelings of entitlement, stress, and anxiety. It doesn't just make you feel better. It pulls you out of your head and places you right here, in the now. But how do most people begin their day? They roll out of bed, and instantly, slip into autopilot. Buzz, notifications, ping messages. The noise begins before they've even opened both eyes. Fully, there's no pause, no presence. Just mental clutter, hijacking the moment. They're reacting before they've even remembered who they are. And here's the thing. If you don't take control of your attention the moment you wake up, the world will do it for you, and the world doesn't always have your best interest at heart. Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That hits deep, because if you wake up and immediately start worrying about work, people, and problems, you're not really living. You're surviving. You're running from the storm instead of standing your ground. But gratitude breaks that cycle. It anchors you firm, steady before the chaos even begins. And let's be real for a second. Most of us forget how delicate, how fleeting life actually is. We complain about minor things. We compare ourselves to strangers on the internet. We coast through our days, numb to the miracle of even being here. But it only takes one diagnosis, one accident, one unexpected phone call, and suddenly, your world flips. That's why when you truly understand that nothing is promised, gratitude stops being a morning routine and becomes a mindset for survival. So tomorrow, when you wake up, try this. Take 3 deep breaths. That's it. Slow, steady, present. Place your hand on your heart if you need to reconnect to your body, and whisper it. I'm grateful to be here. Not to prove anything, not to impress anyone, just to be. Socrates once said, the unexamined life is not worth living. But maybe examining life isn't just about asking deep questions. Maybe it's about practicing deep presence. You don't need a perfect meditation app or an expensive gratitude journal. You need one clear thought. This is enough. This moment, this breath, this space. From that seed of enoughness, you begin to grow into someone who doesn't chase chaos to feel alive. You start walking into your day, not with pressure, but with quiet power, the kind that comes from stillness, not speed. There's a massive difference between starting the day under pressure and starting it with purpose. One feels like drowning, the other feels like clarity. And that difference, it starts with intention. When you begin your morning with gratitude, you're no longer chasing peace all day. You already started with it. Think of it like tuning your internal frequency. When you're tuned to appreciation, even the usual delays, interruptions, they lose their grip on you. Because you're no longer reacting from a place of lack. You're responding from a place of wholeness. Even Aristotle reminded us, happiness depends upon ourselves. And it's not about selfishness, it's about alignment. Have you ever noticed how those first few seconds after you wake up set the tone for your entire day? Most people don't even give those moments a chance. They reach for their phones, check notifications, start running through to-do lists before they've even taken a breath. But here's the truth. The way you speak to yourself each morning, it matters. It shapes your energy. It shapes your mindset. It shapes the way you walk into the world. So today, I want to offer you something simple, something that could quietly but powerfully shift the way you wake up every single day. Because those first few seconds, in the soft space between sleep and action. That's when your mind is most open and most vulnerable. What you feed it in that moment, it either builds your core or opens the door to chaos. And if lately, you've been waking up stressed, overwhelmed, or just feeling lost in the noise, you're not alone. But you do have a choice. And this is where Stoicism enters the chat, not as some ancient dusty philosophy, but as a daily tool, as sharp and relevant as ever. The Stoics believed that how you begin your morning is how you train your soul, that if you don't anchor your mind, the world will. And trust me, the world always has an agenda. So if you're tired of waking up already behind, if you're ready to stop letting yesterday's stress or tomorrow's worries hijack today, then maybe it's time to try something different. So, if the way you begin your day truly shapes everything that follows, then it makes sense to start with something that anchors you, something that clears the noise before it even begins. Let's take it one step further. I want to share with you 5 simple phrases, daily truths you can quietly say to yourself. They take less than a minute, but the shift they create, it's deep, it's personal, it's powerful. These aren't just words, they're reminders, anchors. And if what we've been building so far resonates with you, if it's helped you pause, reflect, or even take a small breath of clarity in a chaotic world, then consider becoming a part of this space. A subscription isn't just a way to support the content, it's a signal to yourself, to the world, that growth matters to you, that presence matters, that this kind of work is worth showing up for. Here's a thought. Isn't it strange how we're always chasing something? Success, clarity, love, answers, money, we're in constant pursuit, and yet we rarely stop long enough to appreciate the one thing we already have, this moment. Not the polished, filtered now on a motivational poster, but the real, quiet miracle of simply opening your eyes to a new, unwritten day. You didn't earn it, you weren't guaranteed it, but you got it. That's grace, that's power, and that's where your strength actually begins. Not in what you accomplish, but in how deeply you recognize the gift of just being here. So before you pick up your phone, before the to-do lists, the emails, or even your morning coffee, take a moment, just one, and say it to yourself. I'm grateful to be here, not because everything's polished or perfect, but because it's present. You're still in the game. You still have time to evolve, to apologize, to take risks, to speak truth, to live honestly. That alone is more than enough. Marcus Aurelius, of the wisest Stoic sages, reminded us that we don't have to wait for perfect conditions to feel fulfilled. Gratitude puts the steering wheel back in your hands. It tells your brain, I don't need to have it all figured out to feel okay. It's not about external validation. It's about inner alignment. And that's emotional strength. That's maturity. That's how you become someone the world can't easily knock off balance. Let's take this even deeper. Modern psychology backs this ancient wisdom. Research from institutions like Harvard and Berkeley shows that practicing gratitude on a daily basis physically rewires the brain for long-term well-being. People who consistently practice it report higher levels of optimism, better sleep, stronger immune systems. Why? Not because life magically gets easier, but because their focus is different. Where others see obstacles, they see opportunities. Where others rush, they pause. It all starts with this internal reset button you press every single morning. Plato once said, a grateful mind is a great mind, which eventually attracts to itself great things. And that's not some mystical promise, it's basic cause and effect. When you're centered, your decisions improve. When you're appreciative, you naturally draw in people who reflect that same energy. When you're grounded, you're harder to distract, manipulate, or shake. You don't just move through the day differently, you attract differently. So before your morning gets swept up in deadlines, distractions, or demands on those first few seconds, not with pressure, not with a plan, but with presence, say it, feel it. Let the words soften your breath and widen your perspective. I'm grateful to be here. That one small phrase might seem insignificant, but it holds the power to recalibrate your entire system. Because gratitude isn't passive. It's not just a fleeting feeling. It's active power. It's how you claim your space before the world has a chance to fill it with noise. It's how you stop merely existing and begin truly living. And the more often you practice it, the more you realize this moment, this breath is the foundation for everything that comes next. Not your goals, not your meetings, not even your coffee. Just this breath, this awareness, this life. Say it with me every morning, before the notifications, before the rush, I'm grateful to be here. That's your real reset. And that's where transformation begins. But have you ever noticed how some people wake up already tired, not because their body didn't rest, but because their mind never stopped spinning? So, we've learned that I'm grateful to be here is a powerful reset, one that grounds you in the present. But what happens when your present is still carrying the weight of yesterday? For many people, that's exactly the problem. Their mind loops like a broken record, replaying old moments over and over again. It's like a song stuck on repeat. They may not realize it, but they're dragging all that unfinished noise right into a brand new day, and it shows. Imagine trying to run a race while carrying yesterday's suitcase. Eventually, you trip, you fall behind, you wonder why you're exhausted before the day even begins. Let's be real, most of us carry way too much emotional baggage from the day before. That awkward conversation we keep replaying, the deadline we missed, the mistake we can't stop cringing over. And often, it's not even our stuff. We pick up other people's moods, their expectations, their judgments. We let the shadow of what was follow us right into what could be. But here's something most people forget. You're not meant to relive yesterday. You're meant to learn from it and then let it go. That's the real strength. Not perfection, not pretending nothing happened, but choosing release. So, start here. Every morning, before anything else, tell yourself, yesterday doesn't own me. Say it like you mean it. Say it like your peace depends on it, because honestly, it does. That one sentence might not erase what happened, but it separates you from it. It draws a clean line between the past and your current choice. And that line, that's freedom. That's your mental reset. Carl Jung once wrote, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." That quote is gold because yes, what happened yesterday may explain your pain, but it does not get to define your path. You decide that. You choose the story you're telling yourself today. You get to decide whether you carry shame or strength. And sadly, that's the power too many people give away. They replay the worst moments of their life, like it's some homework they never turned in. But at some point, you've got to close the book and start writing the next chapter. The Stoics had a powerful way of seeing this. They believed that what matters most isn't the event itself, but how you respond to it. Epictetus said it best. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Maybe yesterday was rough. Maybe you lost your temper. Maybe you missed the moment. Okay, but now what? Are you going to live there forever? Or are you going to take what you learned and move forward stronger, sharper, clearer? Think about it like this. Every day is a fresh journal page. But if you keep scribbling yesterday's story across today's, there's no space left to write anything new. That's why letting go isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's emotional discipline. It's the quiet decision to say, I won't waste a day fighting battles I've already lost, or trying to fix things that no longer exist. That's a kind of strength most people overlook, the strength to stop picking at the same wound. Socrates taught that an examined life is essential. But examining doesn't mean reopening your scars again and again. It doesn't mean reliving the pain until it feels permanent. It means observing, understanding, and then releasing. Take the lesson, leave the weight. And if that sounds too simple, ask yourself honestly, what has holding on to yesterday really done for you? Has it healed you? Has it helped you? Or has it just made your present heavier than it needs to be? Here's something practical you can try. Picture the thoughts you're holding: regret, guilt, embarrassment as stones in a backpack. Now, every morning, before you get out of bed, close your eyes. Visualize that backpack, and imagine taking it off. Feel the straps slide off your shoulders. Hear it hit the floor. Now breathe. Let your body relax. Let your mind unclench. Turn that visual into a ritual. Because when you let go physically and mentally, your nervous system gets the message. We're safe. We're free. We're starting clean. Aristotle once taught that habit forms character. So what if letting go became your habit? Not a one thing, but a muscle you train, a mindset you choose. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes to separate your identity from your old wounds. You stop being the person who always messes up. You stop being the one who's always behind, and you start becoming someone new. Letting go of yesterday's weight isn't just a one-time act, it's a daily discipline. Because the truth is, not everything that weighs us down is heavy. Sometimes, it's the little things. The people who recover quickly, who forgive faster, who choose peace on purpose, they're not just dealing with the big emotional storms. Often, it's the smallest things they've learned to release. That strange tone in someone's text. That passive-aggressive comment that lingers. something you overheard that struck a nerve. Tiny little moments that pile up until you find yourself tense and agitated and you're not even sure why. That's why this practice matters every day. Not just after a meltdown, not just when you hit rock bottom, but every single morning. Take a breath, check in, clear out. There's a quote, often attributed to Plato: "The beginning is the most important part of the work." And it's true, because if you begin your day already tangled in yesterday's your words, your actions, your thoughts, they all get filtered through that emotional residue. But if you begin with presence, with release, with intention, you gain something powerful: clarity. You reclaim your day before it's even begun. You don't bring the noise of yesterday into the silence of today. So here's the shift. Stop treating every morning like it's just another scene in your worst memory. That's not fair to you, or to your growth. Yesterday had its chance. Today belongs to you, and you owe it to yourself to show up fully. Not halfway, not haunted, not on autopilot. Say it with me again. Yesterday doesn't own me. That's not denial, that's direction. That's you choosing healing over hurt. That's you remembering that your future isn't built on the rubble of the past, it's built on what you choose now. Choose presence, choose peace, choose to drop the weight, and then go live like you mean it. Because let's face it, life can feel like it's spinning out of control these days. One moment you're sipping your coffee, and the next you're drowning in notifications, emails, news updates, group chats, and then come the thoughts. Fast, loud, demanding your energy and your attention. It's like your brain opens up its own operating system and starts launching tabs you never asked for. Before you even realize it, you're not thinking, being thought, you're not present. You're chasing every feeling, every worry, every what if. It's exhausting, and it's a trap. But the Stoics, they saw this coming centuries ago. They understood that the chaos outside isn't nearly as dangerous as the chaos within. That's why they trained their minds daily to respond with clarity before the world could react for them. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That line holds the core of all personal power. It's not in controlling other people, not in manipulating every outcome, but in mastering the only thing you truly ever could: your response. And that's where your morning comes in. Before the world wakes up, before the chaos begins, there's this brief window of silence, a pause. What you do in that pause, it sets the tone for everything. So here's your new anchor. Say this to yourself first thing before you touch your phone, before you check the time, before your thoughts start spinning. I control my mind. Say it with presence. Say it with conviction. Say it like your peace depends on it. Because when you claim that truth early, you build a shield that can last all day. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." That's not just poetic, a blueprint. Most people spend their whole day looking outward, comparing, reacting, trying to keep up. But the moment you shift your gaze inward, even just for 60 seconds, you begin to wake up. You start to realize, not every emotion is truth. Not every thought deserves your attention. Your mind may be busy, but you don't have to be. Here's a simple practice to begin with. Just sit still for 1 minute. No music, no scrolling, no agenda. Just you and your breath. Inhale slowly, exhale even slower. And when the thoughts command, they will let them pass like clouds in the sky. Don't hold on to them, don't judge them. Just breathe. Because that space between stimulus and response, that's where your power lives. That's where you remember, I am not my thoughts. I'm the one watching them. Plato once said, the first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself. Not your inbox, not your to-do list, not your meetings. Yourself after anchoring your mornings in presence, peace, and gratitude. After learning to let go of yesterday's weight, there's one more battlefield to win. And it starts right where it always has, in your own mind. Because every time you catch yourself spiraling, overthinking, reacting, you stand at a crossroads. You get to ask, will I let my mind run the show today, or will I direct it? Will I be the driver or just the passenger? And listen, this isn't about pretending to be some enlightened monk meditating on a mountaintop. This is about real, practical self-control in a world that's constantly trying to hijack your attention. It's about choosing your mood instead of letting your mood choose you. You don't have to answer every ping. You don't have to chase every anxious thought. You don't have to let every little inconvenience ruin your peace. Because here's the truth, peace isn't passive. It's a decision, a muscle, a mindset. And the more you decide to claim it, Tevin, in small moments, the more natural it becomes. Socrates once said, "The secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And that new life you want, it starts with you, with the way you speak to yourself, with the direction you choose each morning, with the tone you set, the mindset you train. Because make no mistake, your mindset isn't something you inherit, it's something you build, brick by brick, thought by thought. And science backs this up. Neuroscience tells us your brain is not fixed, it's plastic. It rewires itself based on what you repeatedly focus on. That means, if you spend your mornings doom scrolling, complaining, reacting, comparing, your brain gets better at stress. But if you spend your mornings breathing, observing, choosing, you train your brain to get better at calm. You're literally building the habit of peace. You're not just choosing silence, you're practicing strength. Even Aristotle understood this when he said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Think about that. You don't wake up one day magically, mentally strong. You become mentally strong by making the same small, steady intention each morning. I control my mind. That's your rep. That's your workout. That's your discipline. And just like lifting a weight, it gets easier with time. So the next time your mind pulls you toward anxiety, distraction, anger, doubt, pause, breathe, and remind yourself, just because the thought showed up doesn't mean you have to follow it. Just because it's loud doesn't mean it's true. Your inner voice, when trained, is louder than the world's noise. But you have to choose it. You have to return to it. And yes, there will be days you forget all of this. Days when your mind takes the wheel and runs wild. That's okay. Don't shame yourself. Don't spiral. Just notice it and return. Because the Stoics never aimed for perfection. They aimed for awareness. The goal was never to never fall. The goal was to notice sooner and rise quicker. So tomorrow morning, before the world barges into your brain, before emails, before headlines, before you scroll, sit with yourself, close your eyes, inhale calm, exhale chaos, and speak it out loud or in your heart. I control my mind. Let that be your compass. Let that be your center. Because yes, the world might be loud, but you're louder when you choose to be. That's how you reclaim your power day by day, breath by breath. And something interesting happens when you do. You start to notice a shift not just in your mind, but in how you show up. There's something magnetic about people who walk into a room and bring calm with them. They don't shout, they don't dominate. Their presence is enough. It's grounding, it's still. You feel safe around them, and you wonder, how do they do that? It's not about money, it's not about fame. It's not some glamorous self-help routine. It's something much simpler and much stronger. It's kindness. Last time, we talked about reclaiming your inner power, choosing calm over chaos, and reminding yourself that you control your mind. But once you've claimed that control, the question becomes, what will you do with it? Here's a powerful answer. Choose kindness. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Kindness is invincible if it's sincere, not fawning or pretending." Think about that. If you stay kind and stay firm, what can even the most malicious person really do to you? That's the Stoic balance. Gentle, but not fragile. Soft-spoken, but never silent. In today's world, we often confuse coldness with confidence. We think shutting down emotionally makes us strong, that being distant or somehow proves we're in control. But here's what Stoicism teaches, loud and clear. Real strength isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. Kindness, then, becomes a form of self-mastery. It means you've built enough awareness to pause before you react, enough humility to listen before judging, and enough courage to extend grace even when it's not earned. Carl Jung put it perfectly. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of others. That hits deep, doesn't it? Because the truth is, we all carry that storm inside. The insecurities, the fears, the pain. And when we see it show up in others through anger, silence, defensiveness, we forget they're often battling their own version of what we're facing, too. Kindness builds a bridge across that divide. It's not about pretending everything's fine. It's not about toxic positivity. It's about recognizing someone's humanity even when it's hidden beneath layers of hurt. Start your day with that mindset, and everything changes. You'll speak more softly, not because you're timid, but because you don't need to shout to be heard. You'll respond more slowly, not because you don't care, but because you value peace more than being right. You'll lead with patience, not because you're indifferent, but because you know transformation takes time, yours and everyone else's. Socrates said, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." He wasn't trying to sound poetic, he was being honest. Most of the pain people project onto you, it's not really about you at all. It's their own wounds, their own fears, their own unresolved stories. When you operate from that awareness, you stop taking things so personally. You begin to see past the surface. That cold silence. Maybe fear. That harsh comment. Probably pain. That defensiveness. A scar. Now, kindness doesn't mean excusing bad behavior, but it does mean responding with clarity, not ego. Here's something practical. Visualize one small kind act you'll do today. Right now. Pick something. Anything. Maybe it's offering a compliment to someone who looks like they're struggling. Maybe it's listening without interrupting. Maybe it's texting a friend just to remind them they matter. It doesn't have to be big. One tiny gesture offered with intention can shift an entire day. And here's the wild part. That one act might help you more than it helps them. Because every kind action reinforces the identity of who you're becoming. Someone who leads with purpose, not impulse. Someone who chooses to be intentional, not reactive. Plato believed excellence is not an act, but a habit. And kindness is the same. It's not something you save for when you're in the mood. It's not something you give only to those who deserve it. It's a habit, a decision, a character you choose over and over again. And when it becomes your nature, something shifts inside you. You stop walking into rooms trying to get something. You start walking in ready to offer something. That's not weakness. That's a different kind of power. A deeper kind. And yes, people might misunderstand you. They may confuse your patience for passivity, your calm for indifference. But here's the key. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it because it aligns with your values. Because it reflects the person you're building. And the truth is, nothing builds long-term influence like consistent kindness. Not charm, not intellect, not hustle. Kindness, asterisk. The Stoics weren't soft, they were warriors of the mind. They faced betrayal, loss, injustice, and still led with virtue. To them, kindness wasn't extra. It was essential. It was foundational. It was what made a life worth living. And when you truly understand that, you stop looking for applause. After practicing daily kindness as your superpower, not to impress others, but to stay grounded in who you begin to feel a quiet shift. You stop proving your worth. You just live it. Calmly, consistently, completely. So tomorrow morning, before the notifications flood in, before you're swept into another whirlwind of to-dos, pause, take a breath, center yourself, and remind your mind, with full presence, kindness is my superpower. Not because you need validation, but because it's who you choose to be. And then walk into the world like someone unafraid to be good. Not fake good, not performative, but strong good. The kind of good that leaves a mark. The kind that shifts the entire energy of a room without ever needing to say a word. Because more often than not, that's the good that changes people. And it always starts by changing you first. But sometimes, even with all the right intentions, life still blurs by, doesn't it? Have you ever blinked and realized the entire week vanished? Not in a poetic, time flies when you're having fun way, but in that slightly disorienting, where did the time go kind of way. One moment you're sipping your morning coffee. The next, you're buried under messages, meetings, deadlines you don't even remember saying yes to. It's like the day ran off without asking for permission, and you're stuck chasing after it. That's modern life for most of us. Fast, loud, and always demanding. But there's one truth that slices through all that noise like a blade. Everything is temporary. And nope, that's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. The stress, temporary. The pressure, passing. Even the joy, the peace. The best moments you've had, they don't last forever either. And that's exactly what makes them precious. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They practiced something called memento mori, daily reminder of mortality. Not to be dark, not to be morbid, but to be aware. Because when you realize nothing is promised, not tomorrow, not even the next hour, you begin to treat the present moment with so much more reverence. Plato once said, "Time is the moving image of eternity." And that hits differently when you think about how little of it we actually use well. We spend so much of our lives looking backward in regret, or forward in worry. Rarely do we just be. But presence, that's a skill, a discipline, something you have to train like your body, your focus, or your patience. Carl Jung once said, The ability to be in the present moment is a major component of mental wellness. And that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Most anxiety lives in the future, most sorrow lingers in the past. But the present, that's where your feet actually are. That's where your breath lives. That's where your power exists. And yet we miss it. We overlook it constantly. We miss the way the sunlight streams through the window, the taste of a warm breakfast, the way the air feels just before a storm rolls in. These little moments, the ones we're too busy to notice, they are everything. So here's your reminder. Say it out loud if you can, or whisper it inward, but say it like you mean it. This moment is all I have, so I'm going to enjoy it. Not later, not tomorrow. Now. This cup of coffee, this quiet space before the kids wake up, this real conversation you're having where, for once, no one's checking their phone. Life isn't waiting to begin. It's already happening right now. And if you're not fully present, you're not just missing time, you're missing your life. Aristotle talked about eudaimonia, the idea of human flourishing, not as a distant goal or some finish line of success, but as virtue in action. How you live each moment, how you show up with honesty, awareness, and intention. Being present doesn't mean you ignore your responsibilities. It just means you learn how to fully experience the moment you're in. Even the hard ones, even the messy ones. Let's be honest, it's easier to distract yourself, to stay busy, to focus on what's next. Because sitting still with yourself, that's where the real work begins. The Stoics had a name for this inner stillness, a kind of calm that isn't shaken by what happens around you. So how do you tap into that inner calm, the kind that doesn't just help you survive the day, but actually helps you feel alive in it? It begins with something simple. Slow down. Notice the moment you're in, whether it's brushing your teeth, watching the wind gently move through the trees, sipping a warm drink. While the world is still quiet, let yourself be there, fully. And let's be clear, this isn't about pretending life isn't stressful. It is. The world will still move fast. People will still demand your time, your attention, your energy. But when you practice presence, you stop handing away your power. You stop letting urgency rule you. You shift from chaos to clarity, not by changing the world, but by changing how you show up in it. Seneca once said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." That's it. Not just enduring life, but enjoying it. And enjoyment, it doesn't always have to be loud, extravagant, or scheduled. Sometimes it hides in the stillness, in quiet appreciation, in the sacred pause between things. So tomorrow morning, even now, as you're reading this pause, take one deep breath. Feel it travel through your chest. Notice where your feet are. What do you hear? What can you smell, taste, or touch? Be where you are and not where your mind says you need to be. Because presence is power. It brings you back to yourself. Not the version performing, not the one planning or regretting. Just you, here, now. Socrates, the master of questions, once asked, "How can you wonder at your travels when you carry yourself around with you?" That hits deep, doesn't it? Because no matter where you are or what you're doing, if you can't be present, nothing will truly satisfy you. Not success, not escape, not the next goal on your list. That's why presence isn't optional, it's essential. Want more peace, more joy, more connection? It doesn't come from doing more, it comes from noticing more, from paying attention, from choosing to savor the little things as they're happening. Instead of looking back and wishing you had, this moment, this exact one is already slipping away. Not in a dramatic, movie scene way, but quietly, like it always does. So hold it a little longer, appreciate it a little deeper, and remind yourself often, everything is temporary, so I will enjoy this moment. That mindset, it doesn't just slow time down, it stretches it. It makes life richer, fuller, more meaningful, and one day you'll realize, this moment was never small, it was everything. You just had to notice. So, today, as you move through whatever it holds, carry this truth with you. Peace isn't found in the next moment. It's found in this one, right here, right now. If something in this video resonated with you, there's another one waiting on screen that dives even deeper into how to build a life rooted in stillness, clarity, and true inner strength. I think you'll find it powerful. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a part of Mind of Stoic.